a committee, and most of us are all elected. I think we have old names within us, but nevertheless, this committee, I think, for me and to all of us, is one of the most important committee as far as we are concerned, because based on the caliber of members who are here, they are very passionate with this committee, and they are very collaborative. So this is why we just want to work with all of you as partners so that we can all achieve our common goal. So on that note, before I go further, we must introduce ourselves, and my humble self, I'm Honorable Suleiman Jamme, the chair of the committee. Thank you very much, Clark. And today, the third agenda item that we have is discussion with the Office of the Ombudsman to update the committee on their mandate achievement and challenges and prospects. So basically, the reason why, because this is our first interface as far as the 6th legislature is concerned. So we want to, because this is what we did with other institutions. So that being the case, and this is your first time, so we want to, have these discussions. Then from there we can, move on and see the way forward. So for that being the case, I will allow the Ombudsman, your side, to, tell us some of your activities and achievements that your office, has achieved.
On behalf of my team, I want to thank you for this opportunity to be before you here. Because my understanding is that the last time the Office of the Ombudsman met with this subcommittee was in 2019. And since then, we are looking forward to another meeting. And I'm happy that it's possible today. But probably the first thing we want to do is to congratulate you for your victory in your elections, to come and do this very important work for this country. The members of my team have already introduced themselves, and probably from the introduction you would have heard the designations of each of these members. We can come to later. But to start with, I want to say the mandate of the Office of the Ombudsman is contained in the Constitution, Section 163, which stipulates that an Office of an Ombudsman should be established. And following its establishment, the National Assembly should come up with an act called the Ombudsman Act. And all those things have happened. Now, when it comes to the mandate of the Ombudsman, just reading directly from the Constitution, Section 163, it's to say that our role is to investigate any action taken by a government department or other authority or public body to which the act would apply. And our responsibility is to investigate either on the complaints laid to us or on our own initiative on issues that has come to our attention to make sure that maladministration, discrimination, unfairness, is sort of controlled. So normally our role is when people come and lodge complaints. These complaints can be lodged mostly by employees against their own department, or non-employees against government institutions or government staff officers. Because the Constitution talks about public officers. Public officers, if you look at the Constitution again, would tell you it does not include the president, it will not include the Speaker of the National Assembly, it will not even include the ministers, and will not even include you, the National Assembly members. So basically, we are looking at civil servants who are not like politicians, for that matter. Those are the people whose complaints we look into. That's our mandate. Our jurisdiction doesn't go beyond public officers as defined by the Constitution. And in the performance of those duties, we have three main departments in our office. We have a department that's dealing with investigations and anti-corruption matters, because that's also the mandate we have. In addition to complaints, we are also empowered by the same Constitution on Chapter 21 to be in charge of the Code of Conduct of Public Servants. How public servants should behave in the performance of their duties. And in that line also, we are responsible for asset declaration, which also falls under the Code of Conduct, wherein we are assigned to ensure that public servants declare the assets before commencement of their appointments and every 2 years thereafter. So these are our broad mandates that we are performing. So we have a director of investigation and also responsible for asset declaration, and that's Mr. Pierre Seca. We also have a department responsible for human rights. That's the director, Mr. Bondi, is here. He also complaints pertaining to human rights issues. But most importantly, he's always busy visiting prisons and all detention centers in this country. All police stations are being visited to ensure that we see how their detention facilities like cells are like, to ensure that people who are being kept there, their human rights are violated. Because in as much as they may be suspects, it's important that they also enjoy all the rights applicable to such people until they are convicted. And even for those convicted, we want to ensure that the way they are kept in prisons is in line with the Prisons Act and also the Code of Conduct of the prisoners and prison officers. So these are duties that we take very seriously. And this is why at least twice a year he will go around the whole country with at least one of the deputy ombudsmen to ensure that they visit every police station, every army camp, wherever we believe there could be people detained. Even psychiatric unit, we do go there to see how these people who need services are being handled and cared for. So because those are people, the law even requires that we need to get to those people so that we hear if they have complaints. So in addition to what we go there to look for, we also go there to listen to them. And this prison visits, therefore, two issues are being achieved there. One, we see how the facilities are there and how we can suggest to the prison authorities to improve. And secondly, we also ask prisoners to know if they have complaints that they want to lodge, because that's what the act is. Their complaints should not be lodged through their officers. And once our team is there, we are free with them. No officer is around to even listen to our discussions. We make sure we keep them away so that the prisoners can be free to tell us how they are being handled there. And out of that, we have a lot of information. When we come, we'll have a exit meeting with the management, tell them what we have heard, what we have observed, and what we want them to do. And I can say a lot has improved from the first visits to subsequent visits, because they know we'll always follow up those issues that we've discussed with them. That's another area. Then the other unit we have, the third unit, is the unit of communications. That's where Mr. Kamara Juma is, the face of the institution, and how we can help our units to do the sensitization so that people know what services are available for them. I think that has helped a lot, because we do conduct clinics all over the country. We do talk shows, TV. Sometimes some of you may remember we go there, present our mandate, our rules, and how people can use our services. Even for trade fairs, we always make sure that every year we go there, we get a place to be where people can come and see. We lecture them, we tell them what their rights are, if it's in the area of employment or even for other services. Because as I have said, our mandate is confined to public officers. Yet we do receive complaints from private or pertaining to public sectors. People do come and lodge complaints against employees or employers who are outside our mandate. But even there, what we do is that we know there's an office called the Labor Office, which is mandated to look into those things. So we, as supervisors of all civil servants, will also ask Labor to look into the cases that have been reported to us. So by that, we also follow what's happening in those areas. There is also the requirement that in line with the Ombudsman's Act that I have 2 deputies, and these are the 2 deputies, Mr. Baji and Mr. Yang, and that's and those are people whose appointments have to be confirmed by the National Assembly, as you are already aware. And then the other members of staff are being handled by management of the Office of the Ombudsman, which includes me and my 2 deputies. At the moment, we have a staff strength of about 55. That includes actually the support staff of almost about 16. We also, in addition to our main office in Banjul, have 4 divisional offices now. We have one in Basse, has been established for a long time now. We have one in Mansakonko for LRR. We have another in Kerewan, and we are opening another as early as next week in Joytown. The deputy ombudsman has just come from a trek to finalize those issues, because last year we requested for more staff so that we can beef up our staff. That had been given to us since last year. We recruited staff, we've trained them, and we are about to deploy all of them now. This last budget, we requested to open an additional office in Brikama so that our presence would be felt all over the Gambia. I think you can remember the minister even mentioned in his budget speech, but unfortunately we don't have the funds for it, because we proposed it in the budget, but because of these austerities on the budget, it was sliced to a point that our PE cannot accommodate opening that office now, and that's also a constraint, because as I said, we want to expand to ensure we get to the people so that they don't have problems coming to seek services from us. And I must say that since these branch offices were opened, it has increased in the amount of complaints we have been receiving from people, such that people have begun to build a lot of confidence in the office of the Ombudsman. Our constraints are many. As I have said, the biggest constraint is when we make our proposals, our budgets are always handled, sliced. And maybe before I go further, I just want to raise one objection, and that's to say, if you look at the Constitution, it has mandated that the National Assembly, establish an ombudsman. I think it's a subsection of it. I think subsection H also says that they should provide our institution with enough resources for administrative functions of our office, meaning that mandate of funding us should be in the hands of the National Assembly. simply because you are not under our purview. We cannot investigate you. So you'll have no reason to refuse anything that we want to require. Unlike an institution who is under our purview, an institution we can investigate. So that can be a conflict of interest there. And that's always what I have always been able to highlight to the committee. And further down, even in the Ombudsman Act, you will see that as far as expenditure is concerned, the Act says all our expenditure should be provided at once, upfront. Yeah, we should not even have gone for these quarter monthly allocations. No, section it's when you look at the expenditure, section 19 of the Ombudsman Act says all expenditure in connection with the office of the Ombudsman shall be charged to the Consolidated Revenue Fund and shall be paid at the beginning of each financial year. Yeah, because we need to do our good planning so that we don't have to be going knocking at the doors of finance every month to say we need support, because they are subject to our investigation. And that's even all the more why even our reports we only submit to the National Assembly and to the President, because these are people who are not under our purview for investigation, and they would have no bias as far as our performance is concerned. And besides, our function helps to stabilize, civil issues, strikes here and there, court orders here and there, so that people can access our cases, and we try to amicably resolve issues before they resort to maybe to the courts, whereby it becomes more expensive on government if they finally win their cases. And I think the idea of having an office of an ombudsman is definitely very important. And because we are limited, as I said, to issues of public offices, there's also the office of the National Human Rights Commission, which was recently established. People don't know, sometimes do not know where their issues have to be taken to. And because of that, we have also signed an MOU with the National Human Rights Commission, so that, because we see some complainants do something like, shopping. They'll bring their cases to us. They'll go to National Human Rights, also bring their cases, and even right to the National Assembly to review some of those cases. Just about 2 weeks ago, we were called by the complaint subcommittee on petition, the subcommittee on petitions, so that we also try to synchronize, the complaints that come to us and also go to them. And I think what we have agreed is that anytime they have complaints, they'll want to make sure that, it's sent back to us to handle first. Wherein we fail to resolve the matter, then they can have a look at it. So those are the things. So coming back to those issues, our biggest problems now, what we wish we could have would be the offices I've mentioned. If we had our own offices, the one in Basse, we are renting. The one in Mansakonko is located in the office of the governor. The one in Kerewan is located in the office of the governor. The one we are going to be using in Janjambure is also going to be located in the office of the governor. We would have wished to be outside those premises so that even staff of those institutions, if they have issues to complain, it's not going to be difficult for them to come to our office and we look at it. Even the main office, land was allocated to the main office. We have land just next to the Yeah, we almost lost that land because there was no development on it. But we've renewed the ownership of it now. We have paid all the papers now. And that's one area that we want you to understand. It's our land. And at some point we may want to come and request a fund so that we like erect. Because that's why I've always insisted, Chairman, that you come to our office and see. We don't even have a conference room where I can sit unless we all meet in my office. Yeah, and if you go around and see the gadgets we have there are all rusting because we are just next to the sea, the salt sea breeze. Even a desktop we don't normally use it. We all have laptops because you put a desktop there, it breaks down very quickly. So those are the sort of all things you'll be seeing there. And we thought maybe if we had moved a bit inland with the erection or construction of the premises, it would be a bit, useful. the building is solid, more solid than even here. You know, these colonial buildings. No, you want to even renovate it there just to crack it. Everybody will know you are trying to do something. So those are the sort of buildings we have there, very solid. But then it's not been planned. It was a residence for the former UN residence of Zahra Noor, I understand. So those are the sort of rooms where you have the bedrooms, toilets, and so on. The toilets are as big as here. Those are the sort of the things we like. Yeah. So that's one problem. Accommodation for our offices. In Mansakonko and Georgetown also, we have spoken to the governors to see if they can allocate us land in those areas, and I think they have already made those promises, and we are going to follow up on those. But again, at the end of the day, it's all going to boil down to resources to put up these things. Now, when it comes to mobility, also we have a big constraint: vehicles. It's almost the biggest, because ideally we would have love to have a vehicle for each of our stations, but as of now, only one station is having a vehicle, and that's the bus office, which is also on and off. You come to the main office, we don't have an operational vehicle. The only vehicle that you can drive and be at ease is my own vehicle. Even the ones for my deputies, they are on and off. And these are the same vehicles that sometimes we are forced to allow our staff to use to go on their investigations and other issues. To a point that sometimes I would even ask staff to use their vehicles and I'll give them fuel, because we just cannot sit and do nothing just to say we don't have vehicles. But it's not very ideal. So that's why the last budget I requested for I requested for 6 vehicles. They said, hey, that's too much. At the end of the day, I put 10 million for the vehicle. In fact, that I even underestimated, because I thought a vehicle would cost me below 2 million. But later on, when I asked, it was about 3 million something. So I said I cannot even have more than 2 vehicles in this. But again, even that 10 million was sliced to 5 million. So as it stands now, the best I can have is to buy only 1 vehicle. No, we can't even have 2. And maybe if there is balance, I buy a motorbike. So those are the sort of concerns we have. And definitely, we definitely need it to be mobile, and because we move from area to area, especially those in the CRR, having to do sensitization on both banks, URR on both banks, north and south. It's difficult. So we also want to have you to have that in mind. This year there was a bit of misunderstanding between us and the committee that had us for this. Yeah, because what happened? You were there. You remember that 2.1 million that was allocated to us as loans, and I said no, we don't want it as loans. Give it to us as P, because loans I did not make any request. Now they removed the whole of that, put it back into their bag again. So that did not count for us again. To a point that we cannot proceed with the opening of the new office. So basically, those are our problems. Resources, when it comes to vehicles, when it comes to our offices and so on. So basically, these are the main issues that I can just remember. Maybe my deputies can also add in some of these things. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Okay. Our achievements. Maybe I allow you to. You can talk on it. Just so that you have to. We are able to accept 24 permanent secretaries. They are assets, including also all the ministers. Also 28 deputy ADP permanent secretaries. Also assets. We have 96 for marine director general. This year in August, in December, what we
Yeah, okay. Yeah, in 2018, for asset declaration, all ministers were have declared their assets, and also for permanent secretaries, 24 permanent secretaries submitted their asset declaration forms, and then 28 DPS is on here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, let me just come close. Then 28 DPS submitted their asset declaration forms, and then managing directors, we have managing directors, director generals, 96 of them submitted their asset declaration forms, and the total is 148 who are submitted. In December this year, we issue out letters to head of institutions for public officials to give 2022 years, 2022 year, 22 year, for them to submit the names of public officials. And this year we are targeting almost about 500 senior public officials to declare their assets. And currently we have issued about 38 asset declaration. It's supposed to be, for the first quarter it's supposed to be 100, but we have so far issued 38. And we expect them to, the deadline for submission of the asset declaration will be 15th of March, this 15th of March. So in 2022, we registered almost about 113 cases from the head office, also including the regional offices. And for the office in the head office in 2022, we registered 74 cases. And out of those 74 cases, 16 cases were registered, certified registered in favor of complainants, meaning that complainants who came and registered this thing, they had justice was made in their favor. And then 12 cases were discontinued. We investigate them and we find out that they were frivolous and not made in good faith. The administration that we are taken by the head of institutions in order. And also, we 4 cases were withdrawn. And there are almost about 39 cases that is still pending, which we are following at the moment. In Kerewan, we were able to register almost about 10 cases, and 2 cases were settled in favor of complainant, and 8 cases are pending, and some of them are even landed. They have been. We're just waiting for them for the implementation of the recommendations. Mansa Konko, we registered 18 cases, and out of those 18 cases, 4 cases were satisfactorily registered, settled in favor of the complainant. 2 dismissed, and 11 cases are still pending. And in Basse, we registered almost about 49 cases, and 21 cases were satisfactorily settled in favor of complainants. 13 we are discontinued. We investigate and we find out that the complaint was frivolous and not made in good faith. And 11 cases were still pending, which we are still, some of them we have written the reports, and we are making follow-ups to ensure that the recommendations of the Ombudsman is implemented. Because sometimes also we do face some challenges like some recalcitrant officers here and there, but we use our persuasive skills to ensure that at least we are able to convince them to implement the recommendations of the Ombudsman. Even though we have our powers which we can use, but we use the diplomatic means first before using our powers. So I think in short, this were some of the achievements that we made as far as the investigation is concerned, and also the asset declaration. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think Mr. Juma can come in that.
Yeah, Juma will come.
Yeah, Senate, yeah. 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 Yeah, this way. Give him this one. Okay.
All right, thank you. In relation to the election, it is important to inform the committee that we started with the registration process, registration of voters. This was the first time that the Ombudsman started participating in observation process of electioneering in the Gambia. it is important that an institution like IEC doing such a very important job in our democratization process and in relation to the issue of good governance. The Ombudsman is an institution of good governance, but also importantly, the IEC, which is a public institution, is an independent public institution. Independent public institutions, meaning also it is within the jurisdiction of the Ombudsman. So the Ombudsman should be able to observe the processes or monitor the conduct of officials of the IEC, because during the processes there are ways in which the rights of people can be violated. They can take decisions that are unfair, unjust to the stakeholders, the parties, or individual Gambians. So we observed the electoral process, registration process, and we made a number of recommendations, and those recommendations were issued to the IEC. Then after that, we also had the presidential election, and the presidential election was observed by the Ombudsman. On polling day itself, the Ombudsman gave a preliminary report regarding the process of voting. We did not observe the counting at collation centers, but we observed the process of voting, also the counting on the spots. And the Ombudsman gave it a clean bill of health. And that after that, there was also a report submitted to IEC with a series of recommendations to help IEC improve the process. And then you know also there was the parliamentary election. So it's like all of those electoral cycles. I mean, since registration, the Ombudsman has been actively participating and observing the process. So you have mentioned the issue of submitting. I think that would be the right way, so that you see a series of recommendations and issues that were discovered by our observation team, and how we would recommend, or what recommendations we have issued in order to address, because our objective is to help improve the process. Even where you do not have major issues, there are administrative issues, there are other issues that the IEC can always improve on. So these are issues that the Ombudsman highlighted, and they were issued to the Ombudsman, to the IEC, so that they can take action on some of those issues. So it's like the Ombudsman is committed to continue to participating in the election monitoring and observation, to ensure the election integrity, also to ensure that the rights of the people are protected at all times, and that IEC conducts its duties or responsibilities in line with electoral laws. Thank you.
Yes. In regard to my area, that is human rights unit, as the Ombudsman has highlighted, we visited, we do visit, places of detention to ensure that the rights of prisoners and persons deprived of their liberty are respected. And there are still, we still have a lot of challenges when it comes to, detention facilities, because they are not built in modern fashion, and then it's always difficult to make them change, because they will talk about resource constraints here and there. So changes in the detention facility is very, very difficult. It's a Herculean task to make them change. It's not only the Gambia, really, even in the whole world, changes are very slow. Because even in the Western world, the UK prison visit, they will say this recommendation implemented, this thing not implemented. So it has always been a challenge to deal with prisons and detention facility, or the detention facility. But then we've achieved some success, since we started our visits. Like, for example, Mile 2, when we started visiting, they had a, how do you call it, clinic. But we recommended that they should have a sick bay, and now they have a sick bay, actually. We see many people being admitted there. So it was our recommendation, one of our first recommendations, and now, thank God, they have a sick bay. We also recommended that they should have ambulances in other prisons. And I think it's only Janjambure, but Joshua also has an ambulance. Then vocational training should be provided to prisoners. Now Janjambure also, starting last year, they also have their being provided vocational training. Joshua yet to do well in that area, but Janjambure, they've started. Then we wanted the Prison Act to be amended because it's outdated, and they are working on that also for the Prison Act to be amended, because in the Prison Act there are certain provisions like prisoners' diet being reduced as punishment, and also you even have being put in chains. Those are actually inhuman and degrading treatment. So the Prison Act is being amended to be in line with the Mandela rules, that is standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners. Now they call it Mandela rules, starting from 2015. Then Gyozang also they were constructing, they were trying to construct, dormitories for remand prisoners, and we recommended that to be expedited. Thank God now, I think since 2020 or 21, they've started, using that, at least to reduce congestion. Then there was time we recommended 2 uniforms to be given to each, prisoner. It was only 1, and then the DG told us that because of our recommendation, he was able to he was able to do that. Though of course it's still a challenge because the prisoners and the officers have the same amount, the same amount of money allocated for the uniforms of both prisoners and officers. So it has always been a challenge. Then food, when it comes to food, the standard of food, the quality of food has improved, because there was one Nigerian lady we met there. She expressed it with full excitement. Oh, now food, now we have good, even domoda is nice, even meat. So she was very excited that the condition improved when it comes to food. We won't say it's perfect because they still complain when you go. But people have different choices, but improvement is there actually. Because they said that they used to be very, very based on the type of food they used to eat. Now you hardly hear issues, complaints concerning that area. Then when you go to police stations, that is the biggest challenge. Police stations are you find it very difficult to change police. Prisons, immigration detention facilities are doing very well indeed. They do still have their challenges, but our biggest hurdle is the police stations. But even police stations, they are building new ones. I think there is a project sponsored by a German, NGO or so. GIZ, and then they are trying to modernize. And I even watched the IGP speaking on, being interviewed by QTV, and he said they want to standardize, modernize. And we forgot that was in our recommendation, that all prisons and all police cells should be modernized. To avoid our colonial way of dealing with detention facilities and so forth. There are certain other issues like soccerways not being worked, not doing well, being full and so forth. And we recommended our next visit. They said, everything is sorted out now. Then you talk about the risk allowance. Security sector, officers were not, security officers were not getting any risk allowance. I think maybe except D-League or so. But police, immigration, prisons, they were not getting that. They lamented the issue to us. We pick it up. We recommended it. Now they all got it, because it started with police from lower rank to SI. But later when we went, they say, now they all got it. Even prison, they thank us and say that, thank God, now they all have their risk allowance. From immigration, police, and to other areas. Yeah, torture also is another area that we are mainly concerned with trying to address. You hardly hear of torture now, because you don't only ask police officers, but we ask detainees separately whether they are being tortured. Of course, few instances, we had few instances of, ill treatment or so. I would call it ill treatment instead of torture, because torture requires many elements to be proved. So you don't just jump and say it's torture, but you start with ill treatment, because there are 4 elements of torture which has to be proven. That requires, being proved: intent, purpose, severe or serious infliction of pain, and so forth. So all those things have to be looked into in torture. So we prefer going for ill treatment. And then if it is proven during investigation that is torture, then we go by it. So, but that one also, we hardly hear of that in many stations. We have few instances, but not quite common. So the visit helps a lot, because there's one thing about, monitoring of detention facilities, that they say it has preventive, effect. That once they know that these people, anytime they can come, so they will be cautious, trying to avoid, torture, compared to receiving complaints, acts, and then you follow it. But this one, once you are going, it tries to prevent. So these are some of the achievements we've achieved. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, thank you very much. I thought of it, I forgot. Not children, really. I mean, persons with disability. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, sir. We are also given, I mean, a mandate in 2021. Yeah, 2021. The act was passed by National Assembly that the Ombudsman should now also look into the matters of persons with disabilities. That is the rights of persons with disabilities. If you go to the Act, Section 51 of the Persons with Disabilities Act, two institutions are going to deal with it. We have what we call how do you call it? That is the committee, advisory committee. There is going to be, I mean, an advisory committee comprising, I think, 17 institutions: Ministry of, I mean, Justice, Labor, Trade, Education. All many government departments are part of that advisory committee. So they will sit. I mean, meet. They say at least once every 3 months. It could even be every month, but at least once every 3 months. They have to meet and then come up with maybe recommendation for government to implement. I mean, for government to address issues of, I mean, issues concerning persons with disabilities. They also have to do monitoring of the facilities. But what they gave us is actually, I mean, protective protection side for those people. They have been given promotion and monitoring aspect, because there are three main areas that the persons of disabilities, I mean, issues are to be addressed. First is promotion, so that goes to the advisory committee. Then the second one is monitoring, that goes to the advisory committee. Then the third one, that's protection aspect of, that's the where you receive complaints. So that's where the ombudsman comes in. So if there is any complaint of violation of the rights, or any complaint of failure to implement the law, any complaint of failure to implement, to go by the guidance and so forth, they can come and lodge the complaint to the ombudsman, either by the director of the, I mean, secretariat there, or persons affected, or any other, I mean, persons, I mean, or the lawyers. So they can come and complain to the ombudsman, and we will investigate the violation or any allegation concerning their rights. That's the mandate that we've been given, Section 51. So we intend to collaborate with the advisory committee, and even maybe do more sensitization, because people will find it difficult to complain if they don't know that they are supposed to complain to us. So sensitization is needed there, so that we can receive complaints as soon as possible. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you once again. I just want to buttress on some of the points we've already heard from my colleagues. I'll start with the issue of the visits to prisons and police detention facilities. My main concern here is the prisoners' diet, what they call prisoners' diet. Any person that is detained at a police station, going by the Police Act, is entitled to $5 per day as their meal. And that is what is in the Act. So I'm saying this so that perhaps National Assembly members could pick it up, $5 per day per person under detention. And we all know $5 cannot feed anybody. So the burden lies on the station officers. Imagine going to Bundung police station and meet 10, 15, 20 people in the cells. And it is the duty or responsibility of the station officer to feed those people. What do you expect? He doesn't have enough as his salary. Yet still, from whatever he has, he's expected to feed 10, 15 or more detainees under his, supervision. That alone definitely will encourage things that we don't want to see, and that is corruption. Naturally, we say the police are corrupt. Yes, but sometimes it is my belief that it is the condition or situation that we have, exposed them to, that is also contributing to that menace of corruption. Because the police station, when you go to the station, any problem comes, they'll say, go to the station.
And the SO does not have an impress to feed these people. Usually what they will do is they will tell you, okay, you record the number of detainees you have per day, and then at the end of the month, you claim. So if at the end of the month, he has seen 30 or 40 detainees in his station or her station, he's just going to multiply 30 by $5 and send it to head office. $5 he cannot feed anybody. So I just want us to look at this seriously and try to see where, you know, we definitely need to improve on the prisoners' diet. The other areas that I want to talk about, we've had all these visits, investigations, you know, asset declarations, all right? When assets are declared, there is need for verification on the declared assets. How do you verify? It requires movement. You have to go to either to the banks or to the properties that they have, you know, the areas that they have said, I have a land here, I have a house there. It all requires movement. For an institution that is struggling to have a vehicle, how do we expect to do investigation, verification, monitoring of prisons and all these things, and all these other responsibilities? It's difficult. And that is the situation that we have found ourselves in. Many people are now coming to the office to seek redress, but we are very much challenged in trying to meet the needs or the demands of the public. And for me, mobility is very, very key. Without mobility, there isn't much we can do. The other point I wanted to talk about is the independence of the institution. Mr. Sanyang highlighted that in Kerawan, we are housed by the governor, in Mansakonko by the governor, in CRR, we're going to be housed by the governor. And the governor's office is within our jurisdiction for investigation. So you can imagine, if something happens there, there is that tendency for us to, I'm not saying it will happen, but there is a tendency to be biased. Let's say it the way it is. So this is why we have all along been stressing that we need our own land to build for our offices so that we will be totally independent to carry out our functions. And the last point I want to say is the issue of harmonization of salaries of independent institutions. There is a big gap between how much the Office of the Ombudsman staff are paid and compared to National Human Rights Commission. And if you go by their act and compare it to our act, you see very slight difference in our mandates. But then the salary gap is too wide. I just want to bring this to your attention for consideration. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and honorable members. As I said before, my name is Usman Nyang. I'm the Deputy Ombudsman Administration. Now, I just want to buttress on what the Ombudsman said and what Mr. Baji, the Deputy Ombudsman Technical, said also. Concerning our movement, it is always a big problem when somebody brings a case to you and he refers this case to our office and we cannot take care of it for more than 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months. All is caused by mobility. Our problem is we don't have vehicles. Sometimes we use our own, as the Ombudsman rightly said. We use our own vehicles just to make sure that the job goes on. Because if we don't, everything will be, at a standstill. I'm just from a trek, you know, because we are going to open an office in CRR. So I went on trek together with other staff members. We went to Basse, we went to Kerewan first, then to Mansakonko, Basse, and then we finally came to CRR. We met the governor, and he was very cooperative. He helped us to identify an office, and we were able to get accommodation for all the staff who are going to be posted there. That was a plus on his side. But we definitely want, in case we send these people there, to be able to make some very positive movements. Some of them are not mobile. So if they go to CRR or to Basse, Basse is the only office now that is having a vehicle. And that vehicle is, as the Ombudsman rightly said, on and off, on and off, on and off. In Georgetown, in Janjambure, we don't have a vehicle. And these people are going there. Kerewan, there is no vehicle. Mansakonko, there is no vehicle. The people who are there, the senior investigators, are using their own vehicles to make sure that there is at least some amount of work that is done, which I think is not fair. I'm sorry to say, but I think it's not fair. It will be, as the Ombudsman rightly said, if we are allocated some money, we should also consider the cost of vehicles, because we should not be going and buying this second-hand vehicle. We want brand new vehicles that will be able to take care of our assignments. And we have very serious assignments to take care of. People who are not properly treated should be taken care of. And if they come, we cannot investigate, or they bring a case to us, we sit for about 2 months, 3 months without being able to investigate all those things. Well, as I think the director of investigation also said it, that it is always a problem, and it is a problem to us also as the management, you know, because many people will meet you on the way and say, Ombudsman, oh, you are from the office of the Ombudsman. I say, I brought a case there about 3 months ago, 4 months ago, or 6 months ago, but nothing is done yet. I say, no, we are taking care of that. So on, so on. So just to make sure that we save our skin, but that is not fair. You know, we need vehicles to make sure that our job is properly done. I just wanted to emphasize on that so that we'll understand, as you honorable members will see exactly what we are, you know, dealing with, so that you can assist us. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and honorable members. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Yes, I was saying thank you very much for that insightful information from you and the members of your team. And now I will open the floor for the honorable members for comments and questions. Before I do, I would like to highlight some of my own personal listing in regards to Ombudsman. Personally, I think it's a noble institution. It's a strong institution that would promote democracy, equal rights, and, you know, rule of law in any country. Since conception, I think, you know, it has been seen as a very laudable initiative. But like any other institutions, we create institutions and trample upon them. One by means of insufficient funding, or by means of interference, or any other way. The visibility also, I want us to talk about that with regards to Ombudsman, and that has to do, for me, like you've mentioned human rights here. You know, there are few things that they are not similar with. And that for me, Ombudsman and Human Rights Commission, and we are coming up with anti-corruption commissions. All these commissions, you tend to see duplications of their funds and waste of resources, because Ombudsman's their functions is loaded. You have human rights, you have other issues. If we had really invested in it and then strengthen it the way it should have, we might not have the need for any other institutions. Ombudsman would have been enough. That's my thinking. Because these rounds you are talking about, going to prisons and detainees and all these things, the same functions, other not human rights commissions are doing. You understand? You might take complaints and other things from institutions. They are doing it. Even I happen to be a member of the Defense and Security Committee as well. We went on tour and we've seen they have established offices in all regions as well, and people are taking complaints to them. Even people who felt they are wrongly detained or something. We had complaints from police stations with regard to their interference in their work or some of the whatnot. So these are things you people are also doing in another way. So for me, I think it's we have to streamline things together and see how effective it should be. For the mobility issue and the office, we've just returned like 3 months, 4 months ago from tour, and we've met members of your team in the provinces. We can attest to that. Mobility issue, Net Bank and other places we can confirm those challenges, and it is true that to promote your independence, you need to be, because in fact we've met your personnel, the original personnel, together with the chairman, with the governor in the governor's office, and we, maybe there he couldn't have even delved into some of the challenges with regards to some of the things openly, because the people you should check on are seated. So that is it. We've gone on tour and we have our own, ourselves, some of those things. With regards to reports, I don't know. You said the last time you've come to National Assembly was 2019. Yes. That's why I come. Yeah, yes, that's what I want to come to, because I believe, actually, Section 15 of your Act says you should report to the National Assembly, and by that it means to the Select Committee under whose purview you fall. You understand? So I don't know. Yes. 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 That's why I'm coming. So meaning, even 2020, your report came. 2021, your report came. Was 2020. But the act is saying 3 months after. Yes. Yes. So the 2021 you are not audited yet. So there was a backlog. I have a problem with that. Now, yes, because why I'm saying this, the act is saying reports, meaning, for us, the committees, the institutions under our purview, they submit 2 reports. They submit activity reports to our committee. Financial reports, FPAC deals with that. So that's why because it says report. So meaning, if reports sent to us might just entail some of your challenges, operations, successes, and all those things. Your audited accounts and other things, we don't deal with that. It's FPAC. This is what I'm following. You understand? So we need to know what our institutions are doing, what are their challenges, what are they into, what are their successes. We cannot look into audited accounts. You understand? Because the expertise is at FPAC. You understand? That is the report I'm following, because the act is saying reports. So it can be different reports. So it doesn't necessarily mean audited financial reports. It doesn't say that. Yes. Activity reports. Assembly, yes. Yes, yes. The names of party. No. He said it, yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. So yes, this because we've done that with other institutions. We've done that with IEC. We've in fact asked them to submit reports, activity reports, and then you also mentioned like the oversight functions. You normally do on IEC, and these are very important because like if those reports have been scrutinized on time, it allows us also to report to the General Assembly, where people hear what Ombudsman has presented and diverse opinions will be generated. And then it all adds on value on the work you are doing in this country. So because if you have backlog of these things because of they have to be audited, it kind of hinders also because financial statement. We are not we are not so much concerned with the financial statement. Yes. So I would allow others also to throw in their comments and questions. Yes, Honorable Member Kasama Kemo. Yes.
Okay, the other issue is some of the recommendations or issues that we have highlighted. When it comes to the IEC registration process, the major problem then was the delay in people receiving their ID, their voters cards. There were administrative issues relating to printing of voters cards. The IEC had machines that had cartridges that were running out and they were not being replaced. People were going to registration centers, um, supplying their, providing their information, particulars, and then they will be told that they should come back. And before they would come back, in fact, sometimes they would come back and it would not be ready. IEC was also moving from one place, a registration center to a regional center to do printing. At some point, you would even go to places where you find a lot of ID cards that were not collected. I mean, voters cards that were not collected. Or people would go there and they would not find there. So there were administrative problems or material problems relating to cartridges, which were causing delays. The other issues were the issue of how do you call it, attestation or attestation. So we have interviewed people, registration officers who had so many issues. In fact, they were overwhelmed by the issue of attestation because people were not coming with their cards. So we had issues also on Ombudsman did raise the issue of attestation with the IEC. It is in our report that it is preferable that the issue of attestation is done with so that the laws are amended relating to that and people rely on national documents to have yes. And the other things were relating to the conduct of the officers themselves, maybe coming to work to the place late or not specializing on their various responsibilities, maybe even police officers not doing maybe not even wearing uniforms to be there to ensure that they do police work, but they were even found at their tables doing some IEC registration process work. So there are issues like conduct of officers, but also issues relating to sometimes the people themselves who would come to registration centers would cause problems or a little bit of chaos. And when we noticed also that some places had so many people, they were crowded, and we were recommending that there be proper arrangements to ensure that those overcrowdings do not occur. I cannot remember a lot of the
accessibility to passing.
yeah, the other issues with the because we are also interested in the disability issues, rights, to ensure that there are places, there are maybe ground level or places where people can have easy access, but most of those things were in the classrooms that would raise platforms, and then it will be difficult for people who are wheelchair, disabled to have access. We did make recommendations relating to those issues. Okay, all right, thank you. Welcome, welcome.
have a quorum. Quorum has been a problem for us all this while, but today we are so much happy. We have seen the members, and on that note, Chairman, I want to return.
Yes.
If you look at our role, our function is to ensure that the code of conduct of civil servants are adhered to. That people apply the rules in whatever they do when they serve people. If that's properly regulated, there would hardly be any violation of human rights. Because all these activities, all these institutions that violate the human rights are not working in accordance with their service rules or code of conduct. So if we are able to regulate everything, then most of these things we call violations here and there will not exist. So this is the basis of good governance. Office of the Ombudsman is the basic, stone to promote good governance. Because if everything goes well in administrations, public officers are observing their code of conduct. Heads of institutions are applying the law in line with their service rules or the general orders. Nobody will complain. You will not violate anybody's rights. So that's why sometimes you see, maybe you think it's a duplication, but they all have their different aspects. The National Human Rights Commission, for instance, has a broader area to look at outside government offices and government staff, because they can even look into areas between private people. So they are in that aspect, their role is broader. But for us, the reason why we are interested in human rights by government institutions or government officers is because they have violated their code of conduct. So we want to make sure we understand why, a prisoner is complaining about his rights being abused. Is it because the law has not properly provided for it in the Prisons Act or what? So we also like to improve. This is why, in addition to complaints we receive from people, we also have what we call systemic investigations, whereby we look at institutions and see, why is it that we have more complaints from the prisons department? Is it so we want to go and look into that department to see how their administrative structure is laid out to prevent such things? Because sometimes it's not about the people, but about the system that's in place in the institutions. So that's the extension of our role, unlike the Human Rights Commission. Maybe when they look at it, you have violated it and they correct it. They may not be interested in how it has reached that level. So we look at system and activities. So that's the difference I want to establish. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes. No, we'll appreciate that. No, I understand it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Summary report, sort of, yeah. Okay, we'll take note. Take note, yes, okay.
again want to that reports are fine because there are issues that are raised in this report that needs to be addressed. And however, previously and when the office reported to architect and the audited reports were not done, the activity reports were not adopted. They were not adopted. The fact that so that those reports were presented to the committee. Yes, it was like that. And then until after some time, we realized that instead of perfect now, the public account and public enterprise have this impact. And it is when you have an impact that I observe, or we observe, that we are reporting to our committee. Because the perfect was carried over by the speaker. So then we turn with this argument. I think it is important that we have raised it. The Ombudsman is the only institution that it should combine these reports together. So it's important for the assembly that the institutions are also informed of the current arrangement. That the perfect effort you are reporting the main concern is the financial speaking. The various committees that you have, your main concern is the activity of the you have to address those things. I think it is always better that it's that arrangement is taking place. So what you have been doing that because the assembly requires that those are both reports.
Whereby they say Ombudsman is both a human rights institution and a good governance institution. So where you have human rights commission and ombudsman, the best approach is that they complement each other. They are not rivals. They do normally sign this memorandum of MOU, and that's what we did. But the fact that human rights commission is looking into human rights doesn't block ombudsman from looking into it, because no single institution can handle human rights alone. No single. So it needs common front, joint efforts to be able to do this. So we've done the best by signing MOU with them. And you look at it. We are now giving the Persons with Disabilities Act. If you go to New Zealand, they are giving that. The Human Rights Commission is there, but they have given it to Ombudsman. Go to Ireland, the Human Rights Commission is there, but they have given it to Ombudsman. They realize that both institutions can do it, so that they can. There will be efficiency in our protection of human rights. One institution, there will be failure. Thank you very much. I just want to highlight that area to be clear about that. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much very much. I'm Honorable Kebaro Combo South and a member of this committee. I came late. I was also at another meeting earlier before this. And I think your presentation was very lucid and very clear. We have been in the process of recruiting the ombudsman, and then we want to congratulate you again for your appointment. We did it in 2022. So, but there are key things that we just highlighted. I think those are things that we need to better educate ourselves at our departmental levels. That's the problem in this country. We have very good laws and procedures, and people are not working towards the implementation and enforcement of those programs. You talked about the code of conduct for public officials. It's very clear in the 1997 Constitution. Section 222 of the Constitution clearly states how public officers should behave and work and adhere to the rules that they have set for themselves, and also what the Constitution asks them to do. But people are not doing that. So what we are doing now at this National Assembly, we want to also see to what extent are these institutions having sessions with their staff to enable them to understand their bylaws and also the act that set up the institutions for them to operate. Because without doing that, with all these workshops, nothing is happening. People are misbehaving. They are not doing what is supposed to do. They don't even look at their TORs as employees of those institutions. So those are very important issues that we need to deal with. And if you look at the complementarity of institutions, we need to be able to open up and then share our thoughts and also look at all the issues that are surrounding us. The Ombudsman, the independent, the Human Rights Commission and the Anti-Corruption Bill, which is almost going to be tabled, hopefully this session coming, and then when it is implemented, the implementation and the complementarity, the synergy, we need to be able to look at the expertise of the institutions and work on those things so that we are better positioned and follow these things. And I think that is very important. But another important thing that you have talked about is the issue of verification of these asset declarations. These assets are declared in 2018. Up to now, you don't even know where they are situated. What is the cost of those assets? How are you going to be able to gauge to see that those assets that were declared in 2018, were they able to do these things to be able to give you the full details of all those things? And I think that is very important. That's why when the vice chair is talking about sharing of your reports, you know, we have changed the system slightly. The audited and financial reports, the financial reports and annual reports go to FPAC to look at the way and manner the finances are expended as per your terms of reference. But the annual reports are reports that are generated to help the various committees to better understand the role and responsibilities and the functions of the various committees that are under their purview. So from now on, what you need to do, you can have two separate reports. Part the one that is needed for FPAC, that is the financial and audited accounts and the annual report, and also send us a copy of your annual report, because that will also help us to look at our quarterly reviews and our activities so that we will be able to know and better inform or have dialogue with the FPAC committee on some of the problems that you have highlighted. On our recent conducted tour that we had in all the regions, the issue of mobility and the issue of office spaces is coming up, and you have already highlighted that. You need to be able to have the independence of your organization to be able to do your work without looking into the eyes of those who are supporting you, because you're going to have a role conflict. And when you have conflict of interest in anything, it is going to be difficult for the implementation to take place. So I think those are issues that when they are brought to us as a committee that is responsible of looking or doing an oversight on the work of your institution, then we will be able to tell the FPAC committee, look, this is what is happening. Because your organization falls under the supreme institutions that the National Assembly do not touch their budget. It is only FPAC that is mandated by the Constitution and the Financial Act that they can look at those things and report back to the plenary. So before they do those cuts and all those things, we need to be able to give them better information that is needed for them to do all these things. Since the enactment of this act, you still grappling to get office spaces for your personnel at the level of the region. So it is not going to be very effective. And more so, the most important is the mobility and also the movement of the people in those areas. So all those things are very important. And look at the issues of. Sometimes I look at this institution. I say I don't know who were those responsible for the payrolls of those institutions. If we look at the basic salary, even of a cleaner, at some of those institutions are almost a par with your official staff. So there is a lot of disparity in these things. How do we coordinate these things? We need to sit with the Minister of Finance. They need to be able to be informed, and also some of these things, because they cannot tell us that they don't know about it, because they are the people who are doing the disbursement of funds. So they should be able to look at the disparities. The disbursement of funds that's something that we have to grapple with. Even for us, National Assembly was an autonomous body, but we are still grappling. Some of our members are even traveling next week. They cannot even have the funds now. So it's the way of the disbursement of funds. That's our problem. Unless we change that, and as per the act, which says that your payment should be done upfront. So you don't need to be running here and there. Every quarter you go to the Ministry of Finance to say this is what we need, because you need to be able to do your work. If they cannot do it 6 months or 1 year, but at least every quarter, there should be funds that should be able to prepare you to do your work. Because this vehicle, if we want to go into the tender processing and all those things, it will take up to the end of the month or end of the year, 6 months. By December, January, you don't have anything to do. And I think another important thing that we need to look into is the issue of asset declaration. I think we have to work very hard and then do it vigorously, because if not, the information will be lacking, and there will be a lot of gap, because from 2018 to now, we are in 2023 now. If the current ministers who have been appointed since April and they have not declared their assets, they have almost gone into the 1 year of their appointment. And those things, when you started verifications, how are you going to do it? And the number is now increasing. So mobility is an issue. And I think that's something that you need to, maybe when you are called by FPAC, those are issues that you need to sit with finance and see how you can tackle those things out. But for me, my take on is to ensure that all public institutions adhere to the code of conduct as enshrined in the 1997 Constitution. Section 222 is very clear. And if that is done, all these problems in our institutions and departments will be dealt with, because people will know it to their fingertips. But you tell them the code of conduct, they think you are telling them something that is magical, and it is, because they have not even seen it. The Constitution, people are not reading it. The offices are not giving people the right TOR, and then it is difficult for them to work as an institution. And all those bi-monthly meetings that you do, sometimes when they come, you said you have conducted meetings. Where are the minutes? You cannot even get the minutes. How can you do a staff meeting at your institution and no minutes are produced? So those are important things that we need to go on. And from now on, that's what we are saying. Anytime you come, those are key things that we are going to look at. And the other thing is the issue of the status of your office spaces. I think this is something that need to be hammered to the finance ministry to make sure that, and the local government to make sure that those allocations are done. And then you have your offices to be able to operate as an independent entity. All the independent institutions have their own premises and where they are operating conveniently, and they are doing their work as per their act and also the Constitution. So I think the Ombudsman is a very important institution, and we need to do it. And then the partnership starts, and then that's our role. So we will be rolling out again in the second quarter, because we are having our session. April, May, June will be another visit. So hopefully we'll have a lot of interaction. But I think it's also important, the finance department has to be, doing the budget, because when you go, you don't supposed to go for any bilateral, but you need to be able to do the specification and do the budget in such a way that those are important things that you need to do, because it is important as an institution. You cannot just be planning and then keep on planning continuously and no implementation takes place.
So as an institution, it's going to be very difficult. So once again, we want to thank you, and then we will continue to do the partnership. But as I said, you need to do a lot of dialogue and discussions with FPAC and also the Ministry of Finance for the allocation of funds for the proper implementation and timely implementation of your programs. I was glancing your strategic plan and all those things. So those are important things that we need to have as an institution. Thank you once again. Yes.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yeah, really, the discussion has been very elaborative. I just have, I would say, a concern, and that would need. Is going. I just have a concern that would need clarity a bit. In as much as we want everything to be transparent in our working processes, I'm a person who's very keen on good governance processes. So you made mention that there are a lot of commissions that are set up, but I would say the Ombudsman is a statute authorized body, right? And also there are other sub-commissions that have been set up to, I would say, help synergize the efforts to make the processes more, I would say, vibrant, right? But still, I think sometimes there might be clashes of clauses here and there. So my question would be, when these commissions are being set up, there are usually bilaterals that, are put down, whereby some clauses perhaps might have certain correlations or similarities with some of the work that you guys do, so as not to supersede each other. Do you guys have any things of that sort? Because there are a lot of commissions, and most of these commissions have their works are a bit correlated with some of the mandates that you are given. So that's my concern a bit. So the question. Human Rights Commission, for example, it's set up as a broader base, right? They can look into things that are even outside, the working processes of the civil service, right? For example, let's say a certain thing arises, a certain kind of inclination arises but they have to look into certain things, right? Let's say in terms of human rights, for example, right? So how does it work? Let's say I'm a layman, and something just comes up. I don't know about the ombudsman or its existence, for example, but I'm hearing about the Human Rights Commission all over. It's all over. I'm seeing the billboards, I'm seeing them on TV and stuff. Let's say in terms of publicity, they are up there, for example, right? And perhaps it might fall under your purview, for example, and I might just go to the Human Rights Commission because I feel that they are the people that are relative to my own inclination. So in terms like those, how does it work? Do the Human Rights Commission refer to the Ombudsman, or I'm a bit, yeah.